What is going on, everybody? Good morning. Oh, what is today? It's Wednesday. I thought it was maybe Taco Tuesday. Obviously, been out of it a little bit. Feeling good here today. Yesterday after our show, I did run a light fever all day. 6 or 7 o'clock, it really hit me hard, knocked me out for a few hours. And then I slept the whole night. And here we are today. We got a lot to talk about. I've prepared a really strong show here this morning and looking forward to catching up with all of you. I'm looking at a chart right now of Bitcoin on Binance. The reason for that is because you could see over here on Bitstamp, the chart that I'm normally watching really doesn't make a difference. Pick a chart over here. There's this big, I will call it price misprint or something like that. Whatever it is, I mean, if this is real, if this really happened over here on Bitstamp and anyone's on Bitstamp, and that affected their position at all, you're doing it wrong. I won't say anything more than that. That's nothing but a little blip in things. Let me call it focus instead of on the 8-hour on the daily time frame over here. Bitcoin's trading at $64,431. We are looking at this morning the IPO. I accidentally typed in Coinbase ICO this morning in the search engine. The Coinbase IPO. And we're looking at, we'll see. I want to start this off over here with Anthony Pompilano talking about a 2-minute clip, 2.5-minute clip, really good stuff, talking about his opinion on what's going to happen with Coinbase. You might have heard some other people's opinions saying that Bitcoin was going to be down, that Bitcoin was going to be feeling pressure coming into the IPO. We looked at that, and that was, that didn't really make any sense to us. Let's look at what Anthony says over here, and then we'll keep going. It's a big day over here as Coinbase is IPOing in the U.S. public markets. Oh, here we go.
Hello, I'm Lynn Alden.
That's not what we want, but we're going to get what we want right over here. Because he's got nice timestamps over here, Anthony. Look at that. Boom.
The pending Coinbase direct listing scheduled for Wednesday on the Nasdaq under the symbol COIN is exciting a broad base of the investment community outside the usual cryptocurrency crowd. Coinbase is going to blow people's minds, says Matt Hogan, Chief Investment Officer of Bitwise Asset Management, which
blow people's minds. Well, Bitcoin's about to do
a force traditional finance to wrestle with the phenomenal growth that is taking place in crypto. Do we agree or disagree?
Well, I definitely agree. I think that everyone is drastically underestimating what has happened with Coinbase. They did $600 million in revenue in Q4. They did $1.8 billion in Q1. They 3x their revenue in a 90-day period. It's nuts. They did more revenue in Q1 than they did in all of 2020. And I think that they've got the macro tailwind of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies continuing upwards. And so I think this company is going to come out of the gate hot, fast. And it's not going to slow down. It's going to continue. I'm biased. I have a little bit of financial exposure. My fingers are crossed.
I'm not biased.
Come on. Let's go, Brian and team. Bang, bang. What's up? Do we want to make a guess as to what we think it could hit?
Listen to his guess of what he said is going to happen over here. I don't know whether it's opening at Coinbase. Let's see what actually it opens at and what its market cap is. But here's where Anthony believes it's going. He stands pretty strongly behind his word. I do think you want to listen to and consult those who have a history of being right, not trying to figure it out. So let's listen to what he says.
This year?
Like stock price?
This is not financial advice.
Market.
This is not financial advice.
I don't want to guess. I don't speculate.
But I would not be surprised if we saw Coinbase hit $500 billion in market cap this year.
We'll
that
see.
To me,
$500 billion. He seems to be pretty confident about that. He was said absolutely. So I think he seems pretty confident about that. But I don't know whether, what it's going to open at 100, $200 billion market cap. We will see, or maybe even under 100 billion. Where it closes today, that's what we want to check out, is where it closes today. And we will see, but what is that? Is that going to be a 2X, a 1X? What is Bitcoin looking to do over here, trading at 64,000? Been talking about what happens next is a melt your face off move. Is that currently happening? It does. Some people might be like, well, let me give you some perspective. Some people might be like, wait, price is not really going anywhere fast. 3-5% a day is nice, but really this could then reverse at any second. We don't seem to be going anywhere. Let's move off the 8-hour chart onto a daily chart, right? First, here's a look at the 3-day. I mean, look at, that's beautiful. That is going straight up, just so you have that awareness. But look at the daily. The daily closed at the high yesterday, right? And over here, we're trading towards the high of the day today. Everything continues to look really solid. Really solid. Same thing on Ethereum, right? Look at Ethereum, closed at the highs yesterday, closing at the highs today. Jordan, it's only up, 3.6%. Okay. That's how every big move starts or happens, with consecutive grueling gains. Boom, boom, boom. But if you look at it on the 3-day, you could see that is straight up. And if this does keep going up, and I'm not saying that it's going to keep going up, but I mean, listen, fully positioned and more, right? If this is going to appear days from now as if it were straight up at the time. So I just want you to have that awareness, just in case you're wondering, hey, like, what's going on? Where's price going? And I want to show you this chart. By the way, everyone, thank you so much for yesterday, for all the comments that you guys left me, all the well wishes for my wife, for my family, for myself, the prudent and strong, solid advice showing that you care. Really grateful for each and every one of you. Thank you so much for sharing that. I had an opportunity yesterday to watch yesterday's episode because there was so many likes on it. 2,300 likes on a show with 12,000 views. That's insane. And yeah, I got to watch it from a different perspective. The perspective that you all get to watch it with was enjoying the comments. And it's so special. Man, I wish I could watch this being here in the comments with you all at the same time, because that's a whole nother layer to this. That's really, really special. I was really enjoying that yesterday. So anyway, I thank you. Listen, some people may confuse confidence with ego, and that's fine. That really probably means that one of two things: you haven't spent enough time with Conquering the Market, CTM, to understand of what it is we do here and the essence of it. Or the other is whatever. They all come down to number one, I guess. This was really cool shared. I want to share it with you, And he says, Jordan always says that the Bitcoin is the bull of all bulls. The bull of all bulls, right? But it's actually Jordan who's the bull of all bulls. I say that because over here he corrects us. Jordan's not the bull. He's the one who's not afraid to ride the bull all the way into the wall. David, I love that. That's where we're going. Right into the wall. We're gonna exit the bull as she's bucking the wildest. Anyway, beautiful stuff over there. Let's keep going. This is from Russ, Big Russ over here. I wish I could say my boy Russ, Big Russ. And he's saying that he's listening to this podcast, right, discussing the bond market. I'm not familiar who with Greg Foss, who he is, but that type of endorsement. And then Preston saying, last night, which was tonight, yesterday. He's saying he was dropping a podcast also with this Greg discussing the bond market and saying he crushed it. I want to know more about that. That's why I'm sharing it with you. I haven't listened to it yet. I don't know when I will get the opportunity, but if you're interested right now, and you have the time, that's something I'm definitely interested in knowing more about. Here's Brad's beautiful chart, right? Interruption. Thanks, Giles, for letting me know what went on over there. Something was off. Not too often you see that. You see that a lot more on perhaps FX brokers than on cryptocurrency brokers. The manipulation, it's rampant, right? Thank you, everyone, for being here and smashing the like button over here. Heath, thank you so much this morning for the well wishes. Definitely. Greg's on Signal. Where is that? I would like to know what Signal is. That's what I want to focus in on. All right, so I'm trying to see. I'll look later. I don't see it now. I'll look later. Oh, Greg. Greg. See, I didn't know who he was. I'm not familiar with him yet. Awesome. That's something I really genuinely want to know more about. I'm going to be looking into it. We're coming off now, right? Off our cheat sheet. Someone called it the Ninja Training Guide, but either which way, it all looks very clear to us. And here we go. I want you to focus in right over here where price is currently on the Bitcoin halving chart. This is, by the way, if you want to follow it on your own, on Twitter, it's Bitcoin halving. You just go to Bitcoin halving tracker, @halving tracker, okay? And, this is the chart that I follow every day. And you can see as we were looking, base case was that we did not have the shakeout. We're prepared for it, but base case was we do not have the shakeout and we move. And the reason we didn't have the shakeout was because we had this double pullback, right? We didn't have this double pullback. Well, here a little bit, but we had a pretty steep and significant. What is this 25% and what is this 20%? I'm not really sure. It's not really important. What's important is price is moving up as projected, making the new all-time highs. And I want you to just I highlighted this piece for you in purple, the first cycle. You can see that price right over here where we are today looks the same on each one as we would, right? You might say that price doesn't seem to be melting your face off. Well, you're right. But if this continues for another, 4 or 5 days, it's going to be melting your face off. So let's see what continues to transpire over here. So far, we continue to be positioned perfectly and looking good. This is the Bitcoin monthly candles. I spent, a lot of people, this is really, really good reminder over here because we're seeing Coinbase IPO today. We're seeing the sweet spot of the bull market occurring over here. And let me come back to this. This is a really good thought, but let's go back to where we are on Ethereum over here as Ethereum is leading Bitcoin, right? Just drop down to the 8-hour. Everyone who's following our work, right? And you don't need to be here every day to follow the bigger picture of what we're doing, depending on what your time frame is. But we tend to be how do you say sharpshooters, right? This is the sweet spot right over here. I'm always looking for the sweet spot when momentum is going most in my favor. This is when we really looked at Ethereum breaking out, not only above the first resistance, clone to the outer resistance. Once we had the breakout and we're retesting, just barely coming off, that's when we highlighted it together on the live stream, just standing in awe with how beautiful it looked. Here she comes now. Everything that is happening here seems like it's in slow motion, whether it's on Bitcoin and Ethereum, including our analysis, but it's absolutely superb. And that's why we're doing what we're doing each and every day. And I spend a lot of time continuing to focus on this one trade. And there's a reason for that, because there's so much opportunity right now to speculate across all different markets, including alt season and cryptocurrencies. And people are really taking this moment to speculate. I just, you got to be really mindful about what you're doing and make sure that you're walking away from this current moment in time, this bull market phase here in 2021 of Bitcoin, the rising tide that lift all boats, and accomplish the goals that you really, when you began, set out to accomplish. That's number one. You can't get confused on the way. A lot of people are going to lose a lot of money speculating. Actually, we're going to do the training session this week. I would love to do it today, but I didn't give you any notice. So we're going to do it tomorrow. I'll run it by everyone in Discord. Today or tomorrow, we're going to do a training session on exiting Bitcoin. On the move that alts make versus Bitcoin in the last 3 weeks or so of the bull market phase, how we could set that up, anyone interested, where exactly they should be focused, so that when as them being preemptive of the move, looking for it to happen and the signs leading up to it that it should be happening again this cycle, right? How they could best take advantage of that move and be prepared for what is going to happen. That's the first one we're going to do. It's going to be beautiful. Why I went off into that tangent, I'm not really sure, but I'm looking at the Bitcoin monthly candles chart right now on Charts BTC, another really good follow on Twitter. You could just go over to @ChartsBTC, and I'm looking at those monthly candles, and I'm counting from the last low, right? I'm counting from the low over here, how many bars there are, right? 25, 34, how many bars we are from this current low, right? Right now we're 28. When do I expect the top to peak? September, 5 months forwards from now. All right. So that's going to be, 33, less than the last, but more than this one. Another indicator of where we are and right on time. Just making sure that I'm laser focused. And again, I mentioned on Twitter, those laser eyes are staying on my Twitter up until I exit Bitcoin, because that's why I'm not laser focused on 100,000. 100,000, that's easy. We knew that's incoming, or, from the math we did. Either which way, you're seeing a lot of people. When I say it's getting crazy out there, I just don't mean speculating on random, altcoins. I'm talking about, people are I believe missing what's going on with the markets. We're seeing a lot more talk about hyperinflation occurring, right? Now, whether or not we just have a continued slow devaluation of the dollar, where the dollar continues to trade more or less sideways against other fiat currencies, you're seeing de-dollarization take place. That's a clear trend. And what the world is going to look like, 2-3 years from now is going to be a lot different what it looks like today. Of course, the euro is going to play a bigger role. Of course, the yuan is going to play a bigger role, right? The dollar is still going to be playing a role. Are we going to see, and will we see continued, MMT and work and continued printing that is going to set up a hyperinflationary event? Maybe. Obviously, that's something we're watching for and considering all the time. But when people start talking about the increase of the M1 supply, and then related to a Bitcoin chart, and saying that as M1 comes down, Bitcoin goes up, it shows that there's a severe lack of understanding of what Bitcoin is, right? Because regardless of what M1 did over here, right? Uber easy monetary conditions outperforming the last cycle, Bitcoin was going to go on to be Bitcoin, breaking all correlations and do what it does, right? You still regard this. So either which way, be careful out there. Be careful out there, because a lot of people come off sounding smart. When people try too hard to make something work, that's when something's being missed. There's a lot of people out there who have different opinions than we do on Bitcoin. Actually, most people do. There are a few that share our own. You could see over here people talking about actually this move into hyper Bitcoinization. They believe that this cycle, this is going to happen, and that people who don't consider or consult Bitcoin, right? People who are well-to-do and Bitcoin is not even on their radar, or just basically normal people throughout the world, who have jobs, pay their bills, just living in the rat race is what I mean by that, right? So they're saying by the time Bitcoin gets to 500,000 and between 5 million, it'll be there for only about 10 days. Everyone will have that slight opportunity to buy into Bitcoin at that point. From then on in, it just hyper Bitcoinization takes place, right? And then he comments, well, if price goes from 1 to 2 million in 24 hours, I mean, why would you be thinking about price going from 1 million to 2 million in 24 hours on Bitcoin? Bitcoin right here today is trading at $64,000. Right now, the focus needs to be on riding the bull of all bulls, making sure that we are positioned, accordingly and perfectly, Either which way, everyone's, I guess, has different time frames. Where else? But then you have other people. This is the director of global macro at Fidelity, right? What is Fidelity? $7, $8, $9 trillion Fidelity. The director talking about his thoughts on Bitcoin. But he thinks Bitcoin's going to $1.5 million. And he gives his reasoning. I think this is why this is not for me. This is not for me. It doesn't, but I think that he's genuinely trying to be honest here, intellectually honest, and get a bearings for what he feels is going on with Bitcoin. If you want to go ahead and watch that, let me go ahead and like that. You go over to my profile, find the like for that one. Possible entries today on Conquering the Market CTM entries I see on the currency markets is on pound Japanese yen, US dollar, Japanese yen. Let's give a look over here at the markets really quick. We'll start with the S&P 500 opening up in about 5-6 minutes over here, trading right at all-time highs. Are we seeing any type of signs of a blow-off top? No, we're not. That would be, anyway, a blow-off top if we saw that type of move. That would only be, let's say, lead to a correction, right? We're just coming off a correction. Markets look good and healthy. There's not much to see or add over there. Same thing with the Nasdaq over here, looking beautiful. The dollar is like unchanged today. Look at that. The dollar has come down into this lower line end of support. This is super interesting over here for me to see whether or not this holds or not. If we don't hold over here, I've been telling you at that point, that means to me that technically the dollar has entered a very weak stage. I'll be bearish on the dollar after flipping right over here to bullish on the dollar at 92.86. Will be right there from 92.86 to 91.86, a difference of about 1 point over there. And you can see what is going on with these charts over there, right? It was back in 98.42 that we moved bearish on the dollar to begin with after it had been and holding bullish. Throughout the dollar liquidity crisis, everyone, if you're new here, welcome. I am so glad that you are here. It is good that you are here. It's done a little different here. It's done a lot different over here. And by the way, it's a really special place. When I say it's done a little different, if you're looking to know like what the next move is happening on Bitcoin or Ethereum, or should that you buy right now, I'm going to say to you, just take a moment and subscribe to the channel, because everyone here, everyone that follows what's going on here and participates, they knew exactly what was going on with Bitcoin and have since they can remember or have been following this channel. That's exactly correct. Today, we're in a day of just watching and making sure that we have that perspective that right now, Bitcoin is actually beginning what could be a vertical move up, right? Why we're only seeing Bitcoin up barely 1% today, off of what, I don't even know what it was, 5% yesterday. If we see continued up days in a row, it's going to lead to a bigger move, right? Every 50% move, it starts with a 5% move. Is that what we're experiencing right now? It seems right on time. We'll continue to monitor it. But right now, there is no need. You're in a position of power. There's no need to be so worried about your downside. We're making and printing all-time highs here. You get to relax. We're doing the work all the time. Yesterday was a day of kind of just sitting back and relaxing. You got another one here today. And if that changes, we'll be there to pick it up and decide what's going on. Yes, the salsa verde fresca, that's what you want to go with. No question about that. I would love to get into this. So I'll first look at some charts with you, focus on the technicals. And then if we get the opportunity, I've set up a few different clips explaining what I wanted to yesterday. So let's see what happens with that. Let me jump back over to the price of Bitcoin, and get into the technicals across the board. We didn't check on gold and silver, right? Gold right over here continues just to be back inside the channel, neutral. Silver, on the other hand, has broken out of the trend line of the consolidation, has come already in for a breakout, a retest, and is resuming off. Technically looks a lot better. Just also of note, and as you all already know, since the massive move up, silver's been consolidating sideways, right? Gold, on the other hand, after the massive move up, it has been consolidating with a slight downtrend, right? So we all know that at this particular point of cycles, we expect silver to continue to outperform. Will that be the case over here if they both break out? It certainly looks like it. We will continue to watch. What's going on with my friend over here? Gold, Bitcoin, still it's creeping. It's a creeping move. Will it lead to a bar like this? When I say that, when I'm looking at gold and Bitcoin, I'm talking about here the Bitcoin, the US dollar at the same time. Right now, we're just seeing a slow breakdown. Does it lead to like a capitulation, a massive candle along the way? Does that happen after prices slowly crawled maybe 10, 15, 20%? I don't know. That's what it appears to be happening, and that's all. So we got 2 minutes to the New York Stock Exchange ringing the bell. I don't know if the team from Coinbase is ringing the bell. What are they ringing it virtually right now? Nevertheless, if I was able to pull that up, I would like to pull it up. Yeah, Ethereum, Bitcoin. We're seeing Ethereum lead, right? The only time this is not a trade that I would have taken myself, but when we were looking at it, it was just that it was into support, and right from a risk to reward vantage point, it was a good one, but it didn't seem high probability trade to me at all. I could just make the observation that Ethereum is leading Bitcoin right now, but we know that just by looking at price, right? There you go, Jack. Oh, that brings up a really good insight over there. Jack is saying people will say it's because of the Coinbase IPO, right? but exactly. But here with CTM, we know Bitcoin is melting our faces because Bitcoin is doing Bitcoin at the right time. Absolutely true. There will be a narrative if Bitcoin breaks out over here and really puts in a big move. And that narrative is going to be, oh, yeah, it was the Coinbase IPO, right? So that's awesome, Jack. And, you guys were noting over and over again yesterday, Jordan, like rest. Thank you for being here with us, but rest. You have set us up that we are good. We know exactly what's going on at all times. Thank you for that, and that's awesome, and that's truth. That is extraordinarily special out there because there's a lot. The internet is big and wide. There's a lot of people out there. There's a lot of people who really get it wrong all the time. To have that type of clarity that we have, and for me to know that even when I'm not with you, that you still have that clarity, or watching each other on Twitter or in the Discord. Of course, it's beautiful. So what else? A couple of other things that I wanted to look at across the markets. Wanted to look at those two trades of the pound Japanese yen and the US dollar Japanese yen that were saying that we're offering possible conquering the market entries. We're going to look at them at the 8-hour time frame. All right. Hold on one second. Let me get this off. This is what I want to focus in on right now. Andy was looking at the pound Japanese yen, giving an entry, possible entry. I meant to have Andy's charts, which I don't think I have over here. I don't have over here. I wanted to include Andy's look at it because he's really hyper-focused in on it. I'm just going to give a really quick overview then, not related to yours, Andy, just to what I'm seeing. And then I hope that makes sense and helps you. So let me go ahead and just clean up this chart for a second as I get going. All right. We don't need all that. All right. Taking a breath also at the same time. 700 likes. Thank you, everybody, for smashing that like button because it does make all the difference. And, regardless of the YouTube algorithm likes us or not, they probably penalize us for having such a high ratio of likes. I can't really help it. I would smash the like button myself if I could because I enjoy what's going on over here. All right, so we're looking at the pound Japanese yen, something that we've been focused on all the way since the first week of January 2021 as we saw the Brexit take happen, right? And now we're looking since then, and just looking at price. Price has been sideways ever since February, right? For the last couple of months, price has been consolidating sideways. Do we think that the next move from here is up or down? You can see this like megaphone that, I mean, that's what I see happening over there. You're coming into the support right now. Andy was saying this is a possible buy, right? So the only, looking at it, yes. How could I argue with you? My only one concern is that the two pairs you were looking at were the pound Japanese yen and the US dollar Japanese yen. And in this one, I validate you in saying this is absolute. I see exactly what you're all over, and you're all over it. And yes, simply because just as we looked at Ethereum, US dollar, here your risk is managed perfectly. There's a ton of upside, right? Just to the new all-time high, to the new yearly high over here. And it looks like a good trade coming off the support. My only concern was, were you looking at two pairs that have performed so well over the past, 6 weeks or so that you were just trying to follow what's going on over there? So with that in mind, let's look at the US dollar Japanese yen and see if also there's a really valid setup and you're actually focused in the best spots, which it appears so on the pound Japanese yen. Here's the US dollar Japanese yen. Thank you, SR. So trying to see, it looks a little different than on the pound Japanese yen. I don't see a megaphone. I see, I would like to actually just clone this line really quick and just see if the market's paying attention to that. I'm a little slow because of still feeling whatever I'm dealing with. So I'm looking at this resistance, support, resistance. It's a tight line. You could see that. So let's bring this up again, and let's see up here if it's still, look at that. It's like a sideways channel, So that's helpful over there. But yeah, you're coming in off that support. I see what you're saying. You know, do you want to wait? Also, that's it. You're all over it. I see exactly what you're saying. Everyone here can see exactly what you're saying, and really good, two good heads up right over there, both occurring giving CTM entries. So we like that. Does anyone got? Do they have an opening price for the Coinbase ICO yet? Does anyone have that? They could share that. I would really like to hear that, just for fun. You know, I would like to see Bitcoin at the end of the day continuing and closing at or near the highs of the session. That will be just really bullish, right? Again, we're not seeing any type of melt your face off move in your face at this moment. Bitcoin putting in one of those top 10 days of the year. By the way, if you're not invested in Bitcoin when it makes one of those 10 of the strongest moves of the year, or if you're not invested in the top 10, the 10 days that put up the most gains for Bitcoin a year, you're not even having a positive gain for Bitcoin that year. So you just gotta be patient and let them develop. 250. All right. So what else? You guys want to get it? I want to get into this. I want to have some fun and listen to what's happening over here. So I'm gonna make sure the system audio's on and go it. You got it. Thank you, Fernando. Thanks for being here. Let's listen to what Raul is saying and how he's saying it. Okay.
Again, I'm going to do a whole piece on this, a long deep dive in my thinking, because I've got a lot of extended thinking I want to get across to people to try and bring people up on the knowledge journey of where I've got to in my overall thought process, because it's changing a lot. You know, I'm even changing for Global Macro Investor. I've not kind of wheeled it out yet.
Okay, so Raul's saying he's, you know, he has this new information that's greatly changing his whole investment thesis across the markets. And he's going to work it out for his macro insiders investment letter. I'm not a part of it. I think it's like $700 or something a year. And in that, he's going to rework his framework.
Changing the potential hypothesis for my entire investment framework. Just as an aside, a lot of people, you know, hit me up and say, you know.
All right, so let's keep going over here.
I think this economic recovery probably takes longer than most people imagine, because there is a lot of insolvency and impairment of balance sheet, but other parts are just going to keep exploding higher. So it's going to be a really complicated world, but I think it's a world where equities go higher.
Okay. So Raul getting to the point over here. He thinks that everything's changed and that a year later after the Fed intervened, that from here stocks go higher. I say this in jest because this is where we were and where we've been a year ago. Let's keep going. There's some more stuff. I want to get it out there. And the reason I want to get it out there is because, you know, again, earlier this morning, I was like, let's listen to what Anthony says about Coinbase. He's putting his money behind it, right? And he seems to be confident about what Coinbase is going to do this year, as opposed to, like, you know, again, the Fidelity global macro director talking about his thoughts on Bitcoin. That seemed honest to me. All right, let's keep going.
Well, you know, the Fed have just stopped a recession, just making it worse. Maybe everything is wrong that we assume. And I don't know what that even means. So I'm not, well, I do have a lot of answers, but I'm not prepared to present them yet until I more robustly test them. But
yeah, well, whatever, you know, that's what we've been saying for a year. We tried to have the conversation with you and with others. You guys didn't want to. So at this point, whatever. You have no idea what's going on. We told you a year ago everything was upside down. It didn't make sense. But we really quickly made sure we were on the right side of that trade. We didn't need to sit down and think about it a year later and try to collect our thoughts to present them, you know, and that's it. That is what it is. There's one other thing I have prepared to show you. So let me go ahead and cue this one up. Oh, by the way, when I say that we've been saying it, we have, you know, all the videos on YouTube. For those that don't know, on LBRY TV, you know, if you go back to April, this has every single, a big, 92 followers, but this has every single piece of content that the channel ever put up. YouTube can't take it down. It's up there. All of April, there's about 4 weeks missing over here. And this is what Raul is saying right now is what we were saying and positioning for ourselves right then. If you want to see some really important analysis and understand what's going on and understand how markets works, you got to put the time in. Whether you do it every day, that's the easiest way to do it with us. But if you want to go back and watch what was going on in April and in March during the crisis or in February leading up to the crisis, this is where you want to watch it.
Parts are just going to keep exploding higher. So it's going to be a really complicated world, but I think it's a world where equities go higher.
Yeah. It's a lot to get.
That's it. I guess that's like, if I were the Matador right now, I would be like waving that red blanket like up and down across like the defeated prey's face and being like, that's why I was just sending out a warning, because you got to be careful out there. You got to be careful out there. You got to make sure that you do not get confused. It's going to get really crazy out there. It's starting to. People are really just believing this time is different. Bitcoin's going to $1 million. You want to make sure that you're able to, like, with horse blinders, take away that noise and focus in on what you need to focus. Otherwise, you're going to get distracted and you're going to make mistakes. There's a lot of information out there that you're bombarded with every day. You have to consult the opinion of those who have a history of being correct, and those who don't, you got to realize no matter how good they sound, you have to take it back for what it is, right? And salespeople do have the luxury of being on the wrong side of a market for a long time because it really doesn't matter to them. It really, at the end of the day, doesn't matter, And by the way, in that clip we just looked at, there's about 15 minutes going back to his financial history and the fact that he was just basically a salesman. That's what he does. That's what he is. Careful out there. That stuff really hits me close to the heart. All right. So here we go. What else we want to look at today? Yeah, so, all right, obvious move, right? Sell the news type event. After the Coinbase listing, Bitcoin is going to go south. It's quite obvious. Let's take a look at that. To do that, we need to go down to the 8-hour. Let me get off of this chart over here only because of, as Giles was pointing out, Binance had a little bit of a misprint of data from going down for maintenance. I hope they clear that up sometime throughout the day. Let me jump over to this chart over here. And what we're looking at is after, I got to go back. You guys got to be able to make the adjustment, all right? Because I want to focus on these annotations I have. Make that a little bit darker. After we broke through the resistance finally, right around 61,000, 60,000 and change that we were watching, you saw price come back in, retest, and it is now resuming off, right? This is about as bullish as market structure could get. And that's why we're fully positioned in more. What would be the first possible sign of a breakdown that we're seeing a sell the news type of event? The first thing that you want to, look at, I believe at this particular point, I'm off the 8-hour and then I'm on the daily and also 3-day time frame. So I don't get confused, right? I don't want to, this is as bullish as you can be, move up my time perspective, continue to watch and hold. Now, whether price needed to first on a daily time frame, make a lower low, or on the 3-day time frame. I think more importantly, you have the breakout from the level right around $60,000, $61,000 that we had that breakdown, that retest and resumption off. Staying above, right, that retest, that level of the retest coming in right here on this chart, $59,360. As long as price is above that, it remains as technically uber bullish as possible. That would be your first indication that perhaps something is not right. Is that going to happen? It doesn't appear like it's going to happen at this particular moment. If we are seeing a sell the type of news and price comes down and crashes in there, at that point, you might just want to be fully positioned, right? At that point, you'd be fully positioned, waiting to see what happens. And if we resume up, it's just as easy to get fully positioned and more, right? It's just the only mistake that you can make at this particular point, in my opinion, would not be being fully positioned and more. That's where you're going wrong right now, as Bitcoin is trading at $64,000 into price discovery, something that we've been setting up and led up to. If you're not fully positioned in more here, then you're just not laser focused on what's going on. With that all being said, you also need to understand what would then be changing for this not to be so technically bullish, lighten up your position. But I mean, obviously, if you're watching what's going on here, that's not the base case over here. The base case is this melt your face up move. And we'll see where price closes today and, what the narrative is later on. Yeah, I have MicroStrategy chart. So I wonder if Coinbase, there was a point this year when MicroStrategy was well outperforming Bitcoin. I don't know which is outperforming which right now. So let me go over to January, right? I guess that's fair. January, the 1st. And then you're looking, so 75%. What was it up over here? Just a quick question for myself. It's not 160%. And just so I have the awareness of what Bitcoin is done in the same time frame, let me come down to January, check it out from where it is right here today. Yeah, so right now, Bitcoin is outperforming MicroStrategy, but MicroStrategy was well outperforming Bitcoin earlier in the year. That's what's going to happen right now with Coinbase? That's my question. Are you going to see on the IPO Coinbase run over the next, however long it is, outperforming Bitcoin before, eventually, price kind of catching up more to reality? And then again, at the end of the year, are you looking at Bitcoin outperforming Coinbase? I don't know, that would make a lot of sense to me. We'll see what happens. But in either cases, I personally believe Bitcoin is the better investment, So that's just me. I'm not the type to diversify, I'm laser-eyed and go all in the training session when we're talking about, during the alt season peak, when they appreciate massively, massively, what XRP up, 1,700%, Ethereum up, 250, 350%, Cardano up 800% versus Bitcoin in 3 weeks, but is it a question of playing a basket, or is it being hyper laser focused, knowing where you want to be and figuring out where you want to be? Speaking of where you want to be, BNB, is that the one that you might want to be laser focused in on, or a couple? But we're gonna talk about that so that you have some good information to make decisions off of. That's going to be a fun one. If anyone is here right now from CTM, what would you prefer later today around, let's call it, 3 or 4 o'clock Eastern time, doing a CTM live session talking about all that, or tomorrow, or right about the same time? So Wednesday or Thursday, and I'll ask also in the Discord later after this as well. So, but I think it's important. I mean, yes, and Bitcoin was also going up as alts were going up until the very peak, but yes. All right, I see a couple of Wendy's in there from Rich and Brian. Yes, today. We're going to do it today. Listen, that's with the one asterisk, unless, I'm running a fever that's putting me down, Feel pretty good right now. Let's do that today. I'll set that up later for sure. We're going to go with that. So on that note, everyone, how far into we get today? How far? 47 minutes. Good and solid, strong session. Thank you, everyone, for spending this time together. And I'll talk to you in a little bit. Let's go out with some honeymoon vocals. Moderator. no nuggets right now, except for this wasn't a whole nugget video. That's for sure. I need to start numbering them. I haven't figured out the best format to do that. I want to be able to do that so we could all go back and reference videos. The question was, will I do a video on when to get into alts at the peak of the peak move of the alt season? We're going to do that today. That's what we're doing. If you're not a part of that, the CTM community, and you want to be, that and every other video is also always available to you. All right, everyone. I'll talk to you in a little while. Have a beautiful day.